Subscribe to our channel and also press the bell icon to never miss an update from Kautilya's Fincast.
Welcome to Kautilya's Fincast for October 1st to October 15th, 2020.
Let's begin with corporate news.
Lupin announced the launch of Lapatinib tablets, 250 mg, after Lupin's alliance partner Natco Pharma received final approval for its ANDA from the United States Food and Drug Administration. Shobha rose 2.76% to 229 rupees after the realty firm said it sold its entire contribution of 43.13% in CVS Tech Zone LLP for around 35 lakh rupees on the 30th of September 2020. Vodafone Idea has paid 6,854 crore rupees of the AGR dues it owes to DOT, which company accessed at 21,533 crore rupees. TVS Motor said its board has approved second interim dividend of 140 rupees per share, which is 140% on total equity shares. The Interglobe Aviation has appointed Greg Albert Saretsky, who was the former CEO of a Canadian airline, as a non-executive non-independent director on the board of Indigo, according to a statement. The developer plans to develop plotted projects with Mahindra World City project in Chennai, and is scouting for opportunities in Mumbai and Pune. Singapore's Sovereign Wealth Fund GIC will invest 5,512.5 crore rupees to buy 1.22% share in Reliance Industries Limited's retail arm, Reliance Retail Ventures Limited. New York-based private equity firm Management have made a preliminary offer of $150 million as equity capital into Altico Capital India. Billionaire Anil Agrawal's Indian commodities conglomerate, Vedanta Limited, posted a 23.5% drop in quarterly profit as one of the world's strictest lockdowns hit production and demand. Tata Sons is reviewing its budget airline joint venture with Malaysia's AirAsia, as the latter faces financial challenges exacerbated by the pandemic. The deal will accelerate Adani Port SAZ's stride towards handling 500 million tons by 2025, Adani Group said. The rebranding means that Bing is now using its own logo, and a Microsoft Bing logo, on the homepage of the search engine. The Made in India 5G-ready Ericsson radio system products is expected to enhance the network experience of Airtel customers, the statement said, but did not disclose the size of the renewed multi-year contract. AAX says it has severe liquidity constraints, and with no return to normalcy in sight, imminent default of contractual commitments will precipitate a potential liquidation. Blue Icon ICI, an Adobe Platinum partner, is expected to bring to Infosys cross-technology capabilities through the convergence of customer experience, digital commerce, analytics, and experience-driven commerce services. Amazon got the rights to acquire Biani's promoter group stake at a future date. With the acquisition of the retail biz of Future, Reliance Retail has become one of the biggest competitors to Amazon. Till now, Indiabulls has divested stake of about 440 crore rupees in early September, sold shares worth 82 crore rupees in mid-September and then divested shares worth 630 crore rupees at the end of the month. JLR sold $700 million of notes, $200 million more than originally announced, but it came with a 7.75% coupon, the highest in the company's capital structure. The software maker said in a blog post that while returning to office is optional for most employees for now, Microsoft was not committing to having every employee work remotely. Malaysia Aviation Group Chief Executive Officer Izham Ismail said the group would have no choice but to shut it down if lessors decide against backing the restructuring plan. As Flipkart's annual Big Billion Day sale approaches, the e-commerce giant announced a 45-day paid internship program for undergraduate students, to offer them an insight to the e-commerce industry and operations during the festive season. PepsiCo is committed to double its business from snacks business in India and also increase the capacity of existing food plants in West Bengal and Maharashtra. Vedanta says its buyback offer is deemed to have failed as per the terms of the delisting regulations, after promoter Vedanta Resources did not receive the required number of shares to delist the firm. Paytm has announced the launch of a same-day settlement facility for all kinds of fund transfers on its payment gateway. The feature can be accessed from Paytm Merchant Dashboard, a Paytm for Business app. Reliance Jio has become the first mobile service provider to cross 40 crore customers mark in India with net addition of over 35 lakh subscribers in July. Flipkart-owned payments company PhonePe has now added car and bike insurance to its product portfolio in association with Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Bank of Baroda is considering a proposal to divide its workforce in such a way that about half of them work at bank branches and the rest from home over the next 4 to 5 years. Tata Group, India's conglomerate that sells almost everything from cars to apparel and steel, is seeking to buy Indian online retailer IndiaMart to beef up its presence in e-commerce. Infosys will roll out salary hikes and promotions across all levels effective January 1st. Infosys is also giving 100% variable pay, along with a special incentive for the second quarter.
Let's begin with market news.
India's core infrastructure sector shrank for the sixth straight, with slightly bigger contraction, confirming flattening of recovery. Output of 8 crore infrastructure dropped to 8.5%. LVB is pursuing its plan to merge with Clicks Capital, and has formed a subcommittee to take the talks forward. The bank is also looking at raising funds via other routes to augment growth capital. Indian banks are set to face increased pressure on profit margins, as lending rates keep sliding, while deposit rates have plateaued. Deployment of excess liquidity as and when demand kicks. Private sector lender Bandhan Bank is strengthening its leadership team as part of its next 5-year growth strategy. SEBI has allowed valuation agencies to use their discretion while valuing securities held by MFs, in case the company that has issued the securities is undergoing restructuring of debt. Kotak Mahindra Bank has registered a case against the now insolvent Cox & Kings Limited, alleging fraud of over 170 crore. SBI is initially going for a minimum cut-off internal rating of RP4, or the lowest in the investment-grade companies mandated by the RBI. Madras High Court has upheld the legal validity of RBI circular on additional 81 bonds, dismissing a plea by investors of Yes Bank against the write-down of these instruments. RIL plans to raise about $1 billion through syndicate overseas loan at lowest interest rate. Loan will be used to repay the debt of Reliance Holding USA, a subsidiary of Reliance Energy Distribution and Generation Limited. GAIL has initiated preliminary talks with IL&FS, and US-based Infrastructure Investment Fund, GIP, to pick up at least 49% stake in ONGC Tripura Power Company, at a valuation of 1,500 crore. TCS announced a plan of a share buyback. The stock jumped to 7.3%, to all-time high of 2,706.85, helping company touch 10 lakh crores in market value. After shedding assets amid lackluster returns through much of the decade's stock bull run, Roy Niederhofer's diversified fund has gained 45% this year, and 57% return notched in the global financial crisis, spurred by conviction on reflation. Andrew Sheets is bullish on small-cap stocks, and recommends selling defensive trades from technology firms to long-dated treasuries. TCS board has approved share buyback worth 16,000 crore, at a price of 3,000 rupees apiece. The size of the buyback is in line with those announced in 2017 and 2018. The company has also announced a 12 rupees per share interim dividend, a good start to the quarterly earnings season, led by the IT sector bellwether PCS, and expectations of another government stimulus ahead of the festive season have contributed to the optimism. Passenger flight activity is mired at around half of pre-pandemic levels, leaving a hole in global oil demand that is hampering crude prices. Tata Motors sold 14,522 small commercial vehicles, thus returning to 7% year-on-year growth. TCS was the biggest gainer from the elite club, with its valuation zooming from 1,09,644.68 crore to 10,56,277.53 crore rupees. The 444 crore initial public offering of the defense company was subscribed 157.4 times during September 29 to October 1, becoming the highest subscription by any IPO in 2020. UTI AMC had a weak debut on October 12, falling 9.5% to 500 rupees on the NSE and then closed 14% lower at 476 rupees and 20 paise. Ashish Kautilya increased stake in DFM Foods, the the snack foods manufacturer, to 2.84% in the September quarter. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 1.13% at 28,910.08 points, while the S&P 500 gained 2.01% to 3,546.95. The Nasdaq Composite added 3.16% at 11,945.77. Australian S&P ASX 200 futures were down 0.74% at 22:50 p.m. GMT, while Japan's Nikkei 225 futures were up 0.13%. In a regulatory filing on October 14, Marksans Pharma said Kautilya bought 50,99,945 shares during the quarter.
Let's begin with economy news.
Natural gas price in India touched the lowest rate on record after the government slashed the price by 25%, denting revenues of producers like ONGC. E-commerce platforms such as Amazon India and Flipkart are required to deduct TDS at the rate of 1% of the gross amount paid to the seller using the platform for sales. With sharp contraction in trade deficit, India's current account balance recorded a surplus of $19.8 billion with 3.9% of GDP in the first quarter of 2020-21. The NABARD has disbursed 12,298 crore so far under the Swachh Bharat Mission Grameen for construction of 3.29 crore household toilets. After touching a lifetime high, the country's foreign exchange reserves declined by $3.017 billion to $542.021 billion. Budget of the Agriculture Ministry has been increased 11-folds to 1.34 lakh crore rupees from 12,000 crore in 2009-10 during the UPA regime. Railway Recruitment Board as a group reported net loss of Rs 2,206 crore in the fiscal year ended March 31, 2020, as against Rs 652 crore net loss in financial year 19, according to data published by NABARD. The centre bought about 5.73 lakh ton of paddy worth Rs 1,082.46 crore has been purchased at the minimum support price. India will take a holistic look at concerns raised by domestic startups over Google's billing policy and other alleged arbitrary actions of the internet giant that affect the technology companies. The central government sought to buy peace by accepting states' demand for full compensation of their shortfall in tax receipts because of the implementation of GST or the coronavirus pandemic. The RBI's reconstituted Monetary Policy Committee is expected to continue its accommodative stance when it meets for the first time to decide on key policy rates. Services sector activity picked up momentum in September as companies shook off the effect of the coronavirus crisis, signaling a gradual normalization of business operations after lockdown curbs were eased. Competition for managing India's 1.61 trillion rupees central government pension pool is expected to rise, after the pension regulator allowed subscribers to switch their corpus to any pension fund manager of their choice. With the furore over the new laws governing marketing of agriculture threatening to erode its political capital, the government seems to be slowing the pace of, if not abandoning, the all-important subsequent reforms in the sector. A total of 38 countries will supply their data to Switzerland in accordance with the Global Forum on Transparency and Exchange of Information for tax purposes by December 31, 2020. India's exports grew by 5.27% year-on-year to $27.4 billion. Trade deficit narrowed to a 3-month low of $2.91 billion and imports declined by 19.6% to $30.31 billion in September. The moves to hold bigger auctions for open market operations, special OMOs for state governments and easier terms for banks' bond portfolios saw the yield on the benchmark fall 8 basis points to 5.939%. The Labour Bureau would conduct 3 surveys on migration, domestic workers and professional bodies for evaluating the employment situation in the country, especially during the coronavirus pandemic. India's economic recovery prospects have gone from bad to worse after the nation emerged as a new global hotspot for the coronavirus pandemic. thus the economy shrinking by 10.2%. The realty sector is the second largest employer in India after agriculture, and its contribution to employment is expected to rise further owing to the shift in consumers' preference. The CEOs who took the poll are from across sectors like metals, manufacturing, auto, pharma, health, energy, infrastructure, construction and leading services sector including ITES, health, hospitality, tourism and e-commerce. The GST Council failed to iron out differences between opposition-ruled states and the centre over the plan to meet an estimated 2.35 lakh crore rupee shortfall in compensation cess collections. The overall index for the region improved to 65.1 in September from August's already strong 60. The employment index improved to 61.8 in September from August's 54.8. The key idea was to pursue a counter-cyclical fiscal policy when the economy faces its worst recession, with millions of job losses in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.